One day when I was the manager of the department, the boss came by and he tapped me on the shoulder. He goes, Jim, I just caught one of your employees on a 20-minute personal phone call. You're the manager. You can't let this happen. Now, I was working for the last 20 minutes. 12 other employees in my department were working for 20 minutes. One guy's sleeping on the job. I'm not doing a good job as a manager. I have to get everybody working. So these guys are sleeping on the job, and you're the boss, and you have to find some work for them to do without them being overworked. You don't want anybody complaining, I'm doing twice as much work. And you don't want anybody saying, oh, I guess he doesn't like me very much because he never uses me. You want to make sure that everybody participates. And how you go about doing that, there's no correct answer. This is where, do you know the word creativity? Afra knows it. Creativity is like when you do your own thing, where you're gonna, like if you're an oil painter, you're gonna paint the painting the way that you want to paint it. Nobody's gonna tell you this is the way you have to paint that oil painting. And so when you're playing chess, you have to play the way, there's no correct answer to the right way to play chess. This is not a science, and it's up to you to figure out how to develop all your pieces, but make sure that they're all participating. Now, that same chess coach that's in the movie, where actually the actor is playing the part of the chess coach, he's described chess as a language with no words. I think I mentioned this the last time. So imagine that this is a noun and this is a verb. We'll call this an adjective or an adverb and a pronoun and an article. When you speak a sentence, and I just did speak a sentence, I'm speaking one right now, I'm making sure that all those words fit. Did I tell you about the chess blogger in France? Bad moves in chess are like bad grammar. A couple of years ago, this chess blogger in France was analyzing one of my games on his blog. And I never took French in high school, I took Spanish, so I had to hit the translate button. And the first sentence said, recently, Jim West had a party at the Marshall Chess Club. Wow, I don't remember having a party at the Marshall Chess Club. I remember having a game at the Marshall Chess Club. See, the word in French that means game is also the same as the word that means party. So in that sentence, that was like a bad chess move. When you make a move which doesn't fit in with the rest of what's happening on the board, that's like when you speak a sentence and you use a word which doesn't fit in with the rest of the words. So that's what you're trying to do in chess, is make sure that all your pieces are working together. Don't get in each other's way. You don't want one piece blocking the other piece. Sometimes pieces have to be unselfish. Maybe the knight wants to go to this square because that's a good square for him. But maybe you have to say, I'm sorry, I want a pawn on that square, so maybe now you're going to have to go here. So sometimes you have to manage all of your employees. And sometimes you have to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't go to your absolutely best square. You're going to have to go to your second best square because, in my opinion, I want a pawn there instead, and I'm the boss. Right? So you have to, but as I said, that's your decision to make. But remember, at the end of it all, you don't want any sleeping pieces and you don't want any overworked pieces. It's not that difficult. If you can speak a sentence intelligently and get all the words to agree, you should be able to play chess, unless you go nuts and start trying to kill people. Then crazy people can't speak intelligently. You ever see those horror movies where the guy calls the people up before he kills them and he can't even speak intelligently? Kill, die, he can't even see. Crazy people that are going around killing others, they can't speak sentences intelligently. And I've seen so many players do it at the board, when you start going nuts trying to capture that pawn, capture that queen, checkmate the king, and you're putting your pieces on bad squares, then you're going to lose. Unless your opponent is just as bad as you are, then you might have a chance. So here, and this is not the only way of doing it. What I like to do when I'm white is go pawn there, and usually black goes pawn here. Something like this. You see how the pieces are, they're not copying one another. Black is not going to copy everything white does, but they're all cooperating. Now this guy is going to have to get out of his way, and he's going to get out of his way. So the way I usually solve that problem is by going here and here and here and here and here and here and there and there and there. I actually had this exact position a few months ago against the 2,000 rated player at the Marshall Chess Club, and I won. And that's all I was thinking about. For 17 moves, I said, I'm just going to put my pieces on those squares. I don't even care what he's doing. You know, I'm just going to, you know, get all my pieces on good squares, and now I'll start playing chess. And then I looked and I saw that he had made some weak moves, and I took advantage of them. Now, I teach a lot of students. I don't know if I mentioned the jigsaw puzzle example. Do you ever solve the jigsaw puzzle, Anthony? That's where maybe they'll take a painting by an oil painter and cut it up into all these little pieces, put them in a box, and then you have to take the pieces out and put them back together again, you know? The jigsaw puzzle.
How many you know jigsaw puzzle? You play it every day.
Yeah, jigsaw puzzle, right?
The puzzle, right? The elephant puzzle.
But they give you a picture on the cover.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, I was teaching a student, and there was a half-completed jigsaw puzzle on the kitchen table. So I took a piece out and I said to him, where does this piece go? He says, oh, let me look at the picture. Oh, that piece goes here. I says, well, chess is the same, but they don't give you a picture. Really, this is your job. You have to, in your mind, figure out what this picture, I'm going to paint the painting, I'm going to paint a picture, and this is where I want all my pieces to go, and now I'm going to put those pieces on those squares. The only problem is, if Vincent van Gogh was painting an oil painting, there wasn't some guy trying to stop him from doing it. See, so when you're playing chess, it's like you're trying to paint a painting and put all the pieces where they belong, but your opponent's going to try to stop you from doing it. See, because he's going to see, he can see what your strategy is. Oh, so that's what he thinks. He's going to go for that position. Well, we'll see about that. And he's going to try to prevent you from doing it. So this is where the war strategy comes in. And this is where your tactics come in, where you say, what they said about Bobby Fischer, they said that you knew what he was going to do, but you couldn't stop him from doing it. He was that good. He was that good at tactics that he never tried to disguise his intentions the way the Russians do. The Russians are always trying to prevent you from figuring out what they're trying to do, you know. But Fischer was just straight as an arrow. I'm going to play this strategy and try and stop me, and they couldn't do it. It was, you know, but so that is your job, is to come up with a big picture in your mind where all the pieces are working together without getting in each other's way, and remembering that your opponent's going to do everything that he or she can do to stop you from carrying out your strategy. And now you have to use your tactical weapons, not like a meat cleaver, like a butcher chopping up meat, but like a surgeon. You know what a scalpel is? When they do the operation on you, the surgeon takes this little knife and he makes a little incision. That's how we use tactics. We're not going crazy with a meat cleaver trying to kill, 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 die, die, die. Okay, I need to play a tactic here in order to get my piece on that square. So stop, and then you stop with the tactics. Okay, now maybe I need to use some tactics to prevent him from putting his piece on that square, and then you stop. You know, you use them very as little as possible. You try to play as little with the tactics as possible, but you have to use some tactics. But you always do it to carry out a plan or to prevent him from carrying out his plan. So now, it's up to you guys, and you don't have to do it this way. You can develop your pieces however you want, but just make sure that they're all working together as a team, cooperating, coordinating. You know, coordinating is when everybody's teamwork. They're all working together. So cooperating. Well, that's when they're. I'm trying to think of some words that are less difficult than cooperating, but I can think of some bigger words. It's when they're helping you. They're helping you out. They're not trying to make it more difficult for you.
Working together, basically.
Yeah. So sometimes at work, they'd have a meeting and say, okay, can we get some cooperation from you guys? You guys aren't, let's get with the program here. Everybody has to cooperate, you know. They want everybody to work together as a team, which means that you can't be selfish. You can't be, see, really in chess, you don't play the moves that you want to play. You have to play the moves, as crazy as this sounds, that the chess pieces would like you to play. There was one grandmaster who died a few years ago who actually claimed that his chess pieces would talk to him. But the guy had a drinking problem, so maybe when you drink a lot of vodka, he was a Russian grandmaster. Maybe when you drink enough vodka, the pieces do talk to you. But, I don't drink vodka. But you don't want it to go that far where the pieces start talking to you. But I understand what he was saying. I'm not playing the moves that I want to play. I'm playing the moves that my pieces, either they're talking to him or you kind of concentrate and ask yourself, what move do I think that knight would like me to play? It's not really talking, but you kind of try and look at it from the chess piece's point of view. What's a good square for that knight? But if I move my knight to that square, now where am I going to put my bishop? Okay, knight, I can't put you on the absolute best square that you want because the bishop's got to move somewhere. But how about if you go to this other square instead and make way for the bishop? Okay, so this is the cooperation. This is the coordination where your pieces, they're not being selfish. The knights say, okay, I'll step aside. If that square you wanted for the bishop, okay, I'll do that. But you have to make sure that they're all working together as a team. Teamwork. All right, so let's
start only.
Right. White goes first. Okay, let me just pause for a minute. I like what Avni did, but do you remember we spoke about centralization, Efren? In chess, we have like a little poem that we've invented. We say that a knight on the rim is grim. So this is the rim of the board. And if a person is grim, they're not smiling, they're unhappy. So this, now as I said, probably the Russian grandmaster with the vodka, he would actually hear the knight talking to him saying, I don't like being on this square. But just ask yourself, is this really a good square for the knight? He can only go to 4 squares from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, where the king is. All right. But if you put him here, he can go to 8 squares. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, you don't have to hear the chess piece talking to you to know that if you say to the knight, would you rather be on a square where you only can go to 4 squares, or you could go to 8 squares, twice as many? That's not too difficult to figure out. The knight would much rather be there. So that's why we say a knight on the rim is grim, because on the rim he's only half as strong, and if he's in the corner, he only can go to 2 squares. So now he's 4 times weaker than he would be on one of these other squares. So we try to aim our pieces toward the center. But other than that, this is pretty good. So Avni, now it's your move. All right, let's take a little time out here. See, now when I said, here's another thing the other chess students have had difficulty with